Oh, you're still on mute.
Don't need- Yeah, yeah, we're live. Welcome back to
Oh
that
shit.
show.
Welcome back.
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Late start, but we're here.
How's everybody doing? How you doing, Potent?
Doing good. Just been working on making a bunch of like topicals this week. So I was making a bunch of different ones. Actually, one of them's right here, the pain and injury one. So it's got like CBD and THC and a whole bunch of different herbs. So it's really good for the skin stuff, for muscle pain and shit like that. And then made a bunch of other stuff this week too. I'm busy in the lab making products. We have a event coming up soon, so we've been making lots of extra product to sell and stuff.
And Evil Deadly Farts joining us. How are you doing this evening, my friend?
Ah, thank you. I'm doing good. Yeah, I don't have any things on the menu for now. Still wait that the spring show his nose and yeah, try to see what I'm gonna have to do this year. Um, yeah, I have to say I'm a bit worried. We did not have much snow over here, and I expect a really dry summer.
Yeah, us either. This has been in I've been serving for what is my 26th year now. And this is the first year that my snowmobiles I haven't taken out yet. And usually they're out like 2 months ago. But we are in the solar maximum right now, which so I don't know, and as well as combined with the El Nino, so I guess back to a little warmer. But
I
Yeah.
we haven't
blame
gotten, we
I
definitely
blame
haven't
Joe
gotten.
Biden. No, I'm just kidding.
I, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, he flips the switch, but I don't. He don't flip. We all know he don't flip. Did y'all see the
The
Archangel of Death fucking quit? Victoria Newland,
what? Who?
Archangel of Death. If she goes to your country, right, Victoria Newland, that's the next country that you guys go to war with. Like as soon as she comes and like she doesn't get the right answer, that's who caused. That's who puts the U.S. Used to put the U.S. into war.
So
But
you have to learn what you really like, have a box of chocolate, some flour, and bring her to dinner. I mean,
that's right.
bring
That's
me the
right.
list, okay? Bring me the list. I'll try to do my best.
Apparently, they just don't want to see her because she's the one that brings the bad news.
Some people are better to avoid. You can't get it.
Since she retired this week, quit.
We also been working on the back end on the AI. We've been like making upgrades and have
Oh
a new
yeah, that's
version of
right.
it. We're doing some cool new shit. We have like an audio voice to chat thing with it now, kind of like GPT app, and which it's not going to be out soon, but we're working on getting that online, and then working on some offline capabilities too, so you can either use it when you have an internet connection and save all that stuff to your phone or whatever it is you need, or also another model right now where you can actually run the whole thing offline. You can download it to your phone and then actually run it, totally without an internet connection at all. So that's pretty cool. And then also I've been doing a lot of, well, that's not been my part of it, but it's some cool shit we're working on. And then I've been working on the data side. So going through chat and reading what the AI is understanding and how it's working on the back end, and then um, say, hey, this is wrong, this is right, fix this, blah blah blah. So it's been a lot of fun.
So that's the third version that is with the voice recognition. Is there another level you want to go after voice recognition? I
I
mean,
mean,
just making it better after that, or?
well, I
Well,
think the
there's a lot of
offline is
stuff.
the most beneficial. The offline is the one because that's like you'll be out in the field and like the most fields not going to have Wi-Fi service or even
No,
very
that's
good
true.
cell service,
Yeah.
and you don't want to be running. You don't want to be burning up your data for again. You don't want to be burning up your data friggin' on trying to run AI. But if you can run it remotely on the thing when you've loaded the library, that's sweet. Like because it, you have everything with you. Perfect.
Yeah, that's the idea. So again, that version's not going to be out anytime soon, but we have a
On the
functional
way.
version of it that needs a lot of hammering and polishing, but it's coming. So yeah,
That's cool.
and then just been dealing with other stuff and real life stuff. So
Oh yeah.
what have you been up to, Wes?
Well, let's see. A little work in the garden. Been working on organizing my garage. Actually, but, yeah, no. But then out in the garden, got a bunch of candy store BX plants coming up. They're absolutely little beautiful little plants. And then I got a few seeds behind those coming. I got uh, it was Tropicana Tropicana cookies times strawberry OG, and I can't. Oh, it was Ghost Train Haze times Endgame. Excited about this.
Ghost Train A's crossed with MK Ultra.
No, with Endgame. Endgame.
Oh, Endgame. Oh, okay, okay. I don't know that one, but I've heard about that one. Like, yeah. So you're gonna get some hypey stuff in the menu. A bit of
Uh,
cookie.
oh yeah. Gotta get that quick. It's all about the quick.
That's all about the cookie, man. I know, I know. We're a cooking monster. Bring the cookies. That's one of the funny thing. When people go through age, like there's a wave of what is supposed to look like good weed, and I would be interested in showing it to the people how it got absolutely no link what you're seeing there to what you're smelling and what you're feeling and how the plant behave and all that kind of thing. It doesn't always link together, and some of them may look really weird and do the same effect on the one that get dense bud. So I can understand maybe you like the dense bud, but maybe the other one was working really well and not need any care, and the dense bud maybe mold over as soon there's a rain. I don't know, but I've seen at one point there was a time where there was some strain that was starting to look like what we're calling modern weed. At least with few of my friends were saying, "Oh, look at that! It looked like modern weed," but it wasn't necessarily better, but it was surely having a different look to it. And now there's some of those that were qualifying as modern weed that are now being what people qualify as the 2024 kind of what's supposed to be. Would be interested in seeing in the different market what for them it looked like and it should be the best things they expect from to see on the market at least. Because I always felt that most of the thing that you got on the market is what's efficient for the grower to do and what look good enough for the broker for you to sell you the story about it, whatever. Like a lot of the time, it's kind of a how this it's sold to you.
Winning. I have 100% in the pool.
Oh, oh, who you hate the most?
I voted myself though, but
Yeah, I'll vote for myself too. I think it's always safer to vote for
Ha!
yourself.
Also, tell your friends we're live. I think the algorithm's angry at us.
yeah, I would say
We've
so. Well, we
quite a
probably
few
messed
more
something up.
people.
I don't
Yeah.
know what happened.
Well, when you showed that pool, it made me really think at what was supposed to be the name for in Antero of Nirvana. Kurt was saying, "Oh, we could call it I hate myself and I want to die," and I was finding it funny, but people were like, "Not sure it's kind of funny." Not sure either. But I think it was the best album ever he made. Bleach and Antero. They are really good. Have you put another pool there? No. So who won? Nobody hate you, Steve?
Neck and neck. Nobody's voting.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
if not vote for
apparently,
himself, so
There's
it
nobody
doesn't
here. Is
count.
half the problem. I don't know what we did to piss off YouTube. But
yeah, apparently,
yeah, apparently, yeah.
we got algorithm down bump.
Well, we've just started a bit later on, so people have passed out before we get on.
Maybe. Usually, yeah, I don't know. Something's wrong on YouTube side.
Must be a B Leaf must have got to his friends at YouTube.
Man, that's
Oh yeah,
you've got it. I'm not a
Believe got
believer.
supported us.
I'm sorry, I should be a
Really?
believer, I guess. Well, yeah, I've heard that if you do a low stress torture to your plant, it works. Because low stress training, I mean, you're gonna teach your plant to do what? You're not training your plant to go in a freaking circus. It's
So
torture.
if, so if it's all about stress, like, what if you grew weed in Gaza?
Yeah,
That would be
right?
like the strongest weed ever.
Is the end of fight would be stimulated by your oh man, I don't know. Maybe the shock waves of the bomb create a different signal to your plant. I think we're on the
Yo,
path here.
so so I was listening to this thing on butterflies, and there is this like rare butterfly, and it lives on like some bombing range in some part of the country. And what they found is that like the shock waves, the butterflies somehow weren't affected by the shock waves, but like a lot of their predators were, and some of the other things. So there's like no birds there to like eat them. So the butterflies can like breed there like without being fucked with. So they've had this like protected population of ones that like occasionally get blown to smithereens. But the bulk of the population is like adapted to the shock waves and like has
Oh,
no birds or anything to worry about, so the caterpillars survive at a higher rate. So it was like
So it
really
make the
interesting. It was on Radio Lab.
it make the most beautiful place to make picture of war with that butterfly in the
war
background.
butterflies.
Yeah, man, it's a butterfly effect.
Good old war
Yeah, war
butterflies.
pigs, the
Yeah,
war
they
butterfly.
follow. They live on the tank. They lay
Live
their
in
eggs
the tank.
specifically on the bottom of the tank. And, yeah, they follow the explosion around. Beautiful.
They follow the tank. You see you see the cloud of butterfly in the back of the tank. Epic. I was saying that kind of thing. Maybe if you mix two type of cartoons from the 80s, one that was those unicorn and GI Joe. Think if you do a crossover, you're pretty much having butterfly in the back of your tank like that with a rainbow. You need a rainbow in it. Yeah. Oh, I was thinking at something that I could look at. There was the news over here from the French side of the cannabis.
What did you hear about Massachusetts? They're gonna pardon hundreds of thousands of people with marijuana charge. Uh,
Sorry, what they said?
Massachusetts. Apparently, Massachusetts is going to be pardoning hundreds of thousands of people that are just like solely charged with marijuana offenses.
Holy hell, they would not do that over here, right?
Well, that they should. Like, fuck, we're legal now. They shouldn't
No, no,
have.
no. Over here they say if you got a criminal charge linked with cannabis before, you should not be in the industry now that it's legal because you know how to do it. So it's without following the rule. So we fear that you could follow the rule and still do it. I mean, it would be so bad. Yeah.
The only reason was because you had a rule in place. That was the only reason I was breaking a rule. The rule is gone. So now,
That's a bit my point. Is like before you make it legitimate, it was a crime. Now the people that can profit from it will say, no, 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 those people were profiting from it before. We're not ready. Hey, the race were already started. Yeah, sure, it's
well,
those people that were.
the one I hate about the legalization up here, what I really can't stand about it, and the reason that I will never show my door inside of any dispensary, is the quite simple fact that, like, first off, they got 2 years head start of everybody else getting their license. But like, the first people to jump into the cannabis industry were the conservatives and the police. And like, as long as you had a cop or a politician on your board, you were fast tracked to getting your license. Meanwhile, everyone else was 2 years out behind, like, even being able to start developing facilities or anything. It was a fucking joke how legalization went here. And then they didn't legalize anything. They tell us how many plants we can have. They tell us how much weed we can carry on us. They can, like, this isn't legal. This is like this
No,
is
no, no.
this is
It's not free. Legal means just more law to enforce it. Le,
man.
le,
Nobody tells me how
you
many
know,
fucking tomatoes I can grow, how many potatoes, like that like I could sell them just the same. I could brew alcohol and sell alcohol just the same. Yes, I'm not allowed, but like, there should be
you could not
a
distill it in
format for
Canada,
cat
but you
for
could.
pet.
Yeah, you could make some wine and stuff like that in Canada and have yours. I think there's a quantity you can hold at home, but honestly, I think that more self-production will free a bit more people from the constraint of when you're a big place, you need to lower the cost somewhere. And one of those places is by having a simple step in the process that you can pay the people less to do that because they don't need to be qualified. Doesn't mean that they are not qualified to do anything else, but that's why you pay them less. And those people, if they would have been by themselves, would have maybe generate more profit, but being less taxable. So that's why they say, no, 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 we like the big bucket because to make sure that there's some jobs that are more simple or more repetitive and things like that, that they will pay people less and they will follow all the regulation because they've invested so much money, they don't want to lose it. So they will lobby for the law and for their side, all the thing. I'm happy to know that there's some small producers that are doing good now and are having really nice produce. I'm really happy to hear that kind of thing because for me, it's kind of where uh, half at least of the market should have been to. Because maybe not half, but a good portion. Because if we look at how we educate people on the wine, I remember when I was young, wine that was available locally was crap. For most of the people, you had stuff that you had a headache, and more the funny thing to say, I got something red in my glass that it smelled a bit like vinegar and get me a headache. The same thing for cider. But with education, better practice, we've been able to make it to something that I don't think we could compete with BC with the quality, but I think we can still compete on the yeah, we can still compete on our style of stuff. Well, BC have started before, and they have better weather. They have vine that are more similar to the vinifera. Well, they have vinifera from Europe, like the grafted and stuff like that. Same thing for cannabis. The culture for cannabis in BC started to be more intense over there because of the weather, but also because of the whole West Coast that was more into that kind of
It
thing.
was it was the laxness. I think it was like it was more the laxness with how what sentencing it like it was first time was nothing there. It was a slap on the wrist, fine.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, anyway, the market change, and if you educate people more, you can bring them better produce with something that is different from what is offered right now. I don't know. I think the market will have to evolve a lot more and have some maturation. It's still young in the process, but I think that they bury people under 2000 freaking regulation on purpose. So if you're not familiar with that kind of thing and do it step by step and going through, they want to get you for some reason. So, like you said, if I'm growing potato and tomato and stuff like that in my backyard and I transform a small quantity of it in my kitchen and I make sure that everything is nice and clean and stuff like that, I can sell it to my friend and neighbor, but past I think it's $5,000. You need to get a special place where you gotta get your kitchen just for that, and really with some regulation about it. But there's so much entrance and regulation and this and that for cannabis that it make it really silly. But in fact, if you planted seeds on the soil and water it, and in the nice weather, you've chose your cultivar for your place. You just drop it in your garden and it grow. After that, once you harvest it, it's when you need a bit more skill maybe. But to grow up seeds and make it into a plant that will be harvestable, I mean that's not the hardest part. You can do it if you can do it a garden. I've always believed in it's pretty simple. Now it's the after harvest that if you don't have the skill and the education for that, you can turn good stuff into crap. I think a lot of the stuff that they sell, if they would know what was offered on the market sometime for the price, they would be a bit shy to offer that for that price. But at the same time, it's not necessarily the producer that have to be guilty. It's the share of the tax on top of it make it not worth anymore. I've tried some stuff at $12 a gram. Um, a lot of them were cut too early, and it was pretty obvious on the bud. And one of them, of the sample, was even more kind of wet. Um, it was burning badly. I had to let it open all day long. Um, yeah, that was a bit of a deception for what they were selling a higher price. One of my friend, I've bought a few of them. He was expecting to get something a bit better, but there were some that were good. I think that was 2 on 10 sample that was good. It was properly done, like nothing bad to say about it. So I was like, well, should be half of the sample that are good. And at that price, I think the other half should be cheaper. So, yeah, it's a price reflection also. And when it's, I've seen that there's a lot of stock that sit on the shelf. I don't want to remember exactly how much have been destroyed, but have they burned the container? Have they removed it from the container and recycled the container? Why they cannot just take all that matter and compost it and make something out of it that will be recycled into the process instead of destroying it and burning it because you don't want anyone to access it. I mean, come on, you can just compost it. We don't care at that point. All the weed that stay on the shelf for 6 months, a year, maybe in a plastic container, it's no longer good. Yeah. Do you have that problem, where you are to have people burning excess of weed?
Man, I haven't had that problem, but I've heard of it. I used to know a guy when I lived in San Mateo that had so much trim he was just like dumping it in a lake by the fucking a truckload. And one day I was like, I'll buy that whole fucking bed off of you for like $250. And he's like, $50 and it's yours. And I was like, all right. So he used to like just drop it off, and we had like big giant 20-gallon bags, and we would just quick wash. It didn't even give a shit if I got everything off of it. 'Cause there's so much of it, we didn't give a shit. And we were just washing it and fucking making stupid amounts of hash for, fuck all investment. And it was great.
The first few years that the bubble bag were sold, I had people like that. It was like, "Oh man, so you got trim?" It's like, "Yeah, yeah, dude. I want it all. I'll make some hash with it and keep it for myself. I don't have to do anything. Well, I have to work for it, but not as much on doing the whole thing." That was funny. Nobody was knowing like, oh, what I can. It's not that good what I get off of it. I'm like, well, I don't know. I prefer it to what you have.
Oh, other bit working on a filter for the AI too, so it'll also know aquaponics and will know not to give you plants that will kill fish. If you have an aquaponics nutrient question, it'll exclude those. So it's been interesting. I've been parsing through the training data, and some of the questions people ask that are pretty comical, or just like really interesting plant questions that you don't get people needing specific questions for weird things on plants. It's been really cool to work on training up a new AI.
Is there a top question that you were not expecting that you could say? Or
The number one thing I would say is people asking for plant recommendations for their garden or like cover crops for their specific area. Um, that is something that we've gotten like a ton of questions about that we weren't really anticipating. But that's why it's cool to do this, like, in beta and stuff, and be like, okay, well, um, here's the different, clearly we need to adjust some of the data set to be able to handle some of these other questions, um, that we hadn't thought of in the theme of it. And then sometimes too, it'll give like, to ask it like how to take care of something, and it'll give like a detailed nutrient breakdown of like fertilizer and pest control for that plant, and you're just trying to get like a basic question answered. It just gives you like 10 times the answer. So trying to get it to like, okay, no, you just need to answer that one little snippet. You don't have to give it like a whole grow plan for the plant. I mean, not that it's not helpful, it's just like kind of like too helpful on some of the stuff, which is kind of funny.
Here's
So
your
like,
300-page manual.
right,
Nice.
detailed instruction manual for your property. So it's just been interesting. And then like trying to think what else. A lot of past questions. So we have a lot of that stuff built into it. I actually have been working on overhauling the knowledge base for the pesticide, pest control, IPM stuff. So there's a whole new version that is all built. It just needs to get converted to the file format. But yeah, we're working on overhauling a lot of the back end. Now that it's working, we can kind of make it better rather than just trying to like make the pieces work, especially with this new version that just takes a little longer to train it up, but we don't have to rely on GPT. You don't have to have a GPT account. You don't have to, we're not limited on stuff per day or per hour. We don't have to pay for, a lot of the different stuff that we're having to pay for right now. So it's going to help us move that moving forward, which is cool.
You guys hear about the rats getting high in New Orleans?
What?
Apparently, yeah, rats getting high on marijuana in New Orleans. Apparently, rats have broken into the New Orleans Police Department evidence locker, and they were devouring weed and getting high on the weed and being found all over the fucking building, stones and stuff. Apparently, they're having a huge problem with it. I thought that was pretty weird.
So, do you
Well,
say that police have problem with rats? I was thinking that was criminal that had problem with rats, but maybe it's not the same kind of rat. I'm sorry. Holy hell. Okay. So, is the rat were hired by a gang of criminals that they've trained the rats to destroy the evidence?
Those rats are reincarnated criminals who ratted on their buddies. Now they have to. They're it's a moral duty to eat the evidence.
no,
Yeah, it's
no.
Don Juan that had died because of a paraquat destroying his crop in the 70s, and he's reincarnating into
Dude, they
a
got shit
swarm
on
of
the
rats.
Indian rats. I don't know if you guys remember this. Indian police say rats ate 200 kilograms of seized weed. They didn't eat no
Yeah.
200 kgs. You fucking crazy.
I
They
mean,
ate almost 500 pounds of weed. 440 pounds.
they dude, they
Really?
were hungry,
Rats
bro.
did?
Bro, like, I mean, 200
Really?
kgs. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. 200
that's
kgs?
like
No fucking
400.
way.
So Wes is saying that the New Orleans rats are trying to compete with the Indian rat, and for now, they're, they're not.
Yeah, I
They're
think
still stuck up.
we need to have like a fucking cannabis cup for the rats and see who's better, the Indian ones or the.
I think we need a Ratabis cup.
Rat.
Oh no, no, there's more. Oh no, no. Yeah, Argentinian police officers were fired after they blamed mice for the disappearance of half a ton of cannabis from a police warehouse. The experts disputed the claim that the animals are unlikely to confuse drugs for food. If a large group of mice had eaten it, a lot of corpses would have been found in the warehouse.
Was it seeded cannabis? They don't say that.
Well, that is that would make it a whole food. I mean,
Oh
like,
no! In 2017, police in the eastern state of India and Bihar had blamed rats for consuming thousands of liters of confiscated alcohol a year after the state banned the sale of consumption of alcohol. 2018, technicians
cheers.
who arrived to fix a malfunctioning cash machine in the state of Assam found that currency notes worth more than 1.2 million rupees had been shredded, and the suspected culprits were rats.
I'm pretty sure there's something like that about the cockroach. If you find anything about cockroach destroying evidence in the police locker, I'm pretty sure we could. I mean, if there's rats, there's cockroach at one point.
That's what I always wondered is when the cops like took your like grow and like it was veg, right? What the fuck did they do with it? Like they'd have no evidence by the time we got to court. Like that shit would all be fucking moldy in bags. Like how the fuck did they preserve that shit? Wouldn't they have had to preserve that some? I guess just form. I guess.
Well, they put it in a kind of warehouse with the sometime with evidence and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, but if they took your live plants, right? What did they do with them? Because like that shit's gonna
Oh, they
degrade in like 3 days.
most of the time they
A
try to
couple weeks.
chop it the lowest possible and just put the pots in a truck to put it at the landfill and stuff like that, if I remember, and destroying the rest in the burner, the leaf and stuff. I think it's about that, but they need to keep it for a while for. Yeah, I'm not sure, man. I don't know how they do their things, but
Bring forth your evidence. Yeah, and That's
So
that's the winner for the
So
fucking
all the kids in the
thumbnail for
80s,
sure.
the punk in the 80s, training their rats and giving them some puff of weed, they've generated a wall swarming of rats destroying evidence in the locker room. I like it. So yeah, I mean, what's gonna be the next thing? I'm pretty
Oh,
sure
a
the
rat would be
cockroach.
formidable coming for your weed. I mean, like I had a dog that used to steal my weed and eat it, fucking get all fucked up. But like a rat that could get anywhere.
Yeah, well, I had at one point some mice in a place where I was making seeds, and I was like, I remember I've put a couple of seeds on that end of the table and couple seeds of that end because I had a paper saying what it was, and one of them had no seeds.
You should get that alcohol they had there. You know, they're just like they obviously had a real party. Like, you gotta get the alcohol that disappeared as well in there.
I had to do this one. This one's great.
Police evidence. The holy table. So they,
I thought you said breaking bread, not breaking lamb breath.
yeah. Oh man, you really make me think at that thing that Brandon Ross was saying. I want to ruffle this further too much, but that was quite funny to say that his story about the Afghani bull rider. Did you know it has been popular in Canada, West?
I've known it to be. I've heard of it going around out here. I definitely have, but I don't know if it's legit. Like it could be just like you know the name game where people just get something good and rename it. I don't know.
Okay,
I really don't know. That would be my that would be my thoughts on it. But I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts?
for me personally, beside the I
I
always
know
forget her name.
I know I seen S1 seeds
Was it
here.
Michelle something?
Yes,
Uh,
yes, yes, yes.
okay, with Jeff. Okay,
Starts with the R. Rumpa. I know
just.
you're talking about.
But anyway, Bubble Man was close to those people. With Jeff was his husband. Anyway, uh, beside those people, okay, I don't know of anyone being like, oh, whatever. But it was looking good. It was looking like something that could be enjoyable, whatever. But when I've remembered the article when he mentioned it on his post, and I went back and read it two articles, and one was 1 year, another one was the year before. So the year before he was talking about that, and I was like, you know what? If that clone is that good, and you can make it arm and bring the seed somewhere because you like it, good for you. I just don't want it. It comes from arm. So for me, it may be famous for you. It's not famous because it's arm. Ooh, that's a nice table. So yeah, I mean, I've never heard it as being something that people were searching for that
See if you
much.
get the eyes to be redder on the rats, like
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
those eyes to be a little beadier and redder if possible.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot more things about other clones that maybe have never been popular down south, and I've heard about that one particularly. Maybe it was good, the original things. I really don't know, but it made me really laugh and think at like, if I got water, sorry, if I got wine pre-Jesus time and it looked like water, tastes like water, can I call it water? Yeah. So if it's a freaking arm and for you it's famous because you like it, that's famous because it's armed then.
See, it's 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 one of those things. Like a cut has to get out. Like a cut has to get out for it to get famous, and for like so it like it has to have gotten out if everybody's heard of it. But yeah, so like I don't know. Like
Well, it's just that I've smoked stuff that was famous and wasn't talked about in magazine. At one point, maybe people have mentioned it later on, but it was already famous for a while locally. So I just don't see a link with, oh, that crew have talked about that because for them it was something good that they had around. Yeah, but for another crew in the same area than you, for them it wasn't that. There was more of that. uh, Each crew had that famous cut. Sometimes it's the same thing that the other one beside. They just don't know each other. So I don't know. And there was different stuff that was good, and maybe it was one of them. But when every time I heard about something that's supposed to be that good and may harm, I'm like, the I don't want to be again liking it and being, oh yeah, I would like to try that thing, and oh no, but it got a lot of harm in it. I mean, there's already harm in normal stuff. I don't want to be sure it's gonna be in there. Because if you cross it with something else that may have tendency to arm, now you're doubling on that and have more arm problem. I just don't.
Hey, the Armory in San Francisco, the evidence room.
That's the San Francisco one. Well, they seem really happy.
Right?
I like it. Seems like an enjoyable party. Do you have a drunken alley? The Brand Van 3000, Drunken Alley. That was a really nice song. Like it that. So, Wes, what is the biggest bust that you've heard? You remember around? It, was it like some of those diesel generator place that they were buried? And I've heard so
out
much of them back
that one
then.
in there's that cave one out in BC that was fucking really cool.
Oh, yeah, the
Like
one in BC that there was on top of the mountain with all the container and the yeah.
yeah, that one was really cool. Um, uh, uh that Frankie Gigax, I know he was the one that did he did giant mansion. He bought mansion. He wired. He was a construction guy, and he wired those places fucking days. Then I believe they're the one. He's the one that a lot of people say that actually created the OG Kush. Um, but yeah, I that the those are the biggest ones that I know of. But I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I remember at one point trying to search on those that dig bunker. I've always liked it that the idea of having your small bunker, whatever, having your nuclear shelter and stuff like that. I was just looking at how it looked like, what they planned for, whatever, and the
Well,
kind of hiding stuff they do. I remember one on YouTube that was looking like a rock with the hydraulic that go up. And it had that super long tunnel, and in there was huge. But the thing that I've seen is some of those places where the plant were looking so crappy in there. I was feeling bad for them to put all the effort for that. Like, guys, you should hire someone that know how to make it look better.
give me a second. My dog's going nuts here.
It's getting
Uh,
attacked by polar bears up in the Canadian far north.
a dog?
Really?
I've been attacked by a polar bear?
No, the houses.
Oh, a house. Do you have a clip of that? No.
John. My birthday's on Tuesday. I'm gonna be old.
Oh, Tuesday. Tomorrow.
Yeah. No, tomorrow's Thursday.
Oh, next week. Yeah, don't ask me date like that. Yeah, well, the link I've put in our own chat is I've seen a short on YouTube that the guy had his entrance for his grow room from his fridge. So you open the fridge, there's nothing in the fridge. It's open into a room with some plant there. I was like, that guy is really cool, but he should have put some food in there. Make a working fridge at least. I don't know. You walk on the egg every time you go in your grow room.
Yeah, I think all of that effort and your plants look like that.
That's 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 why I
Like,
say most of the time that people do a lot of hiding stuff, they should let the growing part to someone else because they're not good in that part. But that's okay. That they make a lot of effort. I admire the effort of building that kind of thing. They make me laugh with their shit.
Oh,
I mean, I think the guy was smoking the leaf before the plant get harvested. Yeah, that was one
yeah,
of the
that's
funny ones.
tiny. There's nothing on them.
Yeah, Val is asking if that's the hater edition. I mean, I guess so.
Throwing shade. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. We started the pool by saying like who you hate the most on the show. So I mean, why not? So there's one say we need AI generated image of rats on weed in Madrigal. That
we
could
did
be
that.
nice.
I did that.
Yeah,
Did anybody get any cool vegetable seeds? The missus just bought a bunch more seeds.
and you've beat us on the how you categorize everything and how much shit you got. I mean, I say I've lost. Okay, most of my seeds are kind of really randomly stuff in a bag with a small stuff frozen like it's been 10 years ago and whatever. So sometimes I revisit some of those bags and not every vegetable seed lasts that long, but yeah, sometimes I regrow them. I've had a a bunch of old stuff on. It was everything purple I was buying that year for the garden. So I had the purple eyes carrots. I had those have germinated, but I've never been able to make back some seeds from it. So I find it really strange because I had a carrot that was 5, 6 inch across that have grown for 3 years. I had three, four of them that had grown,
Never
and
seeded.
they've never went to seed, and they were just under a light. And I've got another one that I've regrow. You know, when you always get the carrot seeds that regrow a year after whatever that you've planted. And that one, I don't know if it's gonna go to seed, but there's something I don't understand with that. It's supposed to be biannual. So when the carrots is 3 years old, I mean, start to be late. I should have remembered them. I don't know. So I really got no idea why they don't want to go to seeds and make more. So I guess I'll just buy more carrot seeds for the kick of it. but I had a bunch of small. Uh, they were supposed to be ornamental pepper plant. They were called a little blue. I really enjoyed them for they have the big seeds a bit like the chili. So I was growing them because they are just a small bush of 1 to 2 foot tall, a really roundy bush with the upward fruit that are more like a ball. It grew up like a purple ball and then go red when they're mature. And I was collecting it to use a bit of like a chili thing, grind them up. But yeah, and I had a bunch of purple bean stuff. Those have regrown too. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And oh yeah, I had some tomatillo. I was sure that it was one of my pepper plant growing. Then I'm like, hey, wait a minute. That thing is not a pepper plant. That's a tomatillo. So yeah, I got the tomatillo growing, and it's funny because it's a second flush, so it's really full of yellow flowers, really beautiful. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it for what I got. Oh, I've got some dill, mammoth dill. I was complaining about how much the regular dill is just doing just few leaves that you can use. So I've got myself some mammoth dill. It's supposed to be really huge, so I've planted them everywhere in every pot I got. So it should be more fun to eat it. I like it with some meat and some sandwich or pasta stuff like that. So do you have you Wes, you're really limited in the amount of things, but are you growing some herb or stuff on the side inside sometime with your grow?
Not nothing right now. No, nothing. Nothing right now.
Because
There,
I've discovered at one point, with the bok choy, if you have it like in between a row under the canopy, they don't mind. They don't like direct light. They don't make as big leaf, and they may bolt even sooner. So I started to grow some bok choy and other stuff like that in the area where it wasn't directly under the light at one point. It was working pretty well. Basil also, planting
I
basil everywhere.
the one thing I co-plant well a lot with, but just because like they just puff off so quickly is aloe. But like almost every plant I co-plant with aloe. I have so many aloe that they keep popping off from it. Pot. And yeah, I use them a fair bit. Make, make sprays out of when watering.
Yeah, I should buy myself some more aloe vera. The last time I don't know what I did, man. I've just dropped the plant, repot it, water it, it died. I was like, what? I've watered it really too much? I was thinking that, like you say, you got it in your pots. I mean, it should not die like that. Damn it. It died on me really quick. So I was like, well, okay, too bad. I've bought one plant that was $5. I was thinking it was well root. Well, it had the roots till the bottom, but not full in the container. So I cannot blame the person to sell me something not rooted enough. But to die that quick, uh. So
Probably just
yeah,
it was probably used such low light brought it into that fucking grow room.
yeah, I've put it in highlight and put
Where things
too
just like
much water.
whoa, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, they were used maybe on the side when they were being like
Yeah, too
neglected
much.
on the water side because they are like in a slow mode.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I've waked them up a bit too abruptly. But yeah, I should have adjust them on the side window for a while. But there's always those different type of aloe vera, and I've always liked it those that look how to say more desertic, because there's a lot of people that have those small ones that reproduce really quickly, but they are more soft, I would say. I would like to get those that are the leaf are more sturdy, and you can slice them and put a couple of clone in them, and they hold it. If I can see, because the small one, like yeah, I can get a bunch of small leaf from it and extract the juice, but you cannot put a clone in it. And I was curious. I've asked a few people, and some people were saying, "Oh, if I let the clone overnight in aloe vera, some of them had trouble of having the clone molding after that." I'm not sure. I've not tried it, but
I've
from
never
what I
I've
heard,
seen that. I've never seen that, but it does kind of it can get stinky if you have it for a couple days. Um, like who really recommended like leaving them in the aloe vera for like even like up to a day? But when I tried to do that, it didn't work out. The only way I got that to work was when I cut the aloe vera on both ends, and then it seemed to. But then like I didn't like leaving them that long. I don't find it unnecessary.
you just
Um,
leave it overnight and that's it.
not even. I just dip and go. I just dip and go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that just because the leaves start to decompose at one point, and maybe if you leave them in the fridge like that, you will slow down the process. It may have something to do with it. Yeah, 'cause it's funny. I tried at one point the test with honey, with rock wool and doing some clone of whatever I had over here. A random plant I had trying to see, and uh,
Honey works well.
uh yes or no. Not from what I've seen. I guess the temperature were maybe a bit high, and it maybe have a difference on my result. I've tried it and it was a bit hot, so I think it may influence on it. So I'll retry it at one point. But maybe more fresh honey. It will like freshly harvested honey. I would try it to maybe if there's a difference there. Because it was honey I had for like 6 months. So maybe I don't know. There's maybe something on it. But I tend to think that before it really have roots, you want to keep the organic matter at the minimum because the plant cannot defend itself at all. So I mean, like when you root it in rock wool, if you keep the humidity level good, you don't have too much things to interfere with it. You have nothing to defend it too, but it's not like trying to root into a compost mix with the pro mix. You may start your seeds in it and it can go well, but if you start to cloning it, sometimes they will just wilt and get mushy. Well, I
Yeah,
remember just using Promix straight and the rooting stuff in it, no problem.
yeah, yeah. The first stuff I rooted in soil, and that worked. Yep, like
Yeah, there's always different way to do it, but there's one thing that's for sure is there's some plant that will root and get vigorous no matter what you do.
yeah,
So
no. So there's definitely stuff that clones a lot easier, and then there's stuff that is challenging.
when we're playing with the Chernobyl, the mother plant that have been chosen to play with were really slow to root. And I tried to understand what make it slow and see, oh, maybe if we got the plant in a better vigor mode, maybe if it's not too, when the stem is really vigorous, it's more soft. So I was like, let's try when it's more soft and some when it get a bit more sturdy. And yeah, I was trying everything. I just think those don't like to be root quickly. They still root, but they may last like a branch with just bump on it, for 3, 4 weeks sometime. Like the fourth week, they start to root and they get as quick than anything else after that. As soon as they start to get root, everything go well. But they get in that limbo mode that they are just I'm a branch in a medium and they do nothing. They're still alive, all green, everything's good, but they just stay there. I've always find it funny, man. I was like, maybe maybe it's those plants, but we tried others in the line. Some other were rooting pretty quick, but they were more prone to I think it's phytam. You know, when you water too quick, too much or whatever, and it's a bit warm, the the root die, and then the plant
Oh, root
dehydrate.
rot. Yeah, lithium.
It's
Yeah,
a root rot, yeah.
yeah. Usually, like low oxygen and high temperatures do it.
Yeah, exactly. When the plant was root bound, some of them were more prone to that than others. So
Kind of like
yeah.
rat fink.
Deep water
Holy
culture.
hell, that
Deep
one is
water
really nice.
culture is where I found lithium all the
Those rats that are drinking all the booze.
time.
Wow, I would like to have eyes like that when I'm drinking. It would be
Right.
so cool.
I don't know what was up. They made you put those beer goggles on in school. I've never had everything be slightly to the left, you know?
Oh,
It just
Supreme Grape, you talked that you would like to get aloe vera, but when you see them at the shop, but I would say the the one I had, I don't know if there was a pest on it, but there was something strange on the leaf, and it have not transmit to anything else. So I think aloe vera have some pest that can go on it, but for the spider mite, I would not think that aloe vera is attacked by spider mite. I really don't
I
think.
I don't think so, but I'm wrong. But I really don't think. I think aloe vera is so strong, kind of protects itself. All pretty much all.
You think it's pretty resistant to pests in general?
Yeah, I think it's very. I don't really lives on it. I've never seen anything on it at the air begin.
Yeah, the thing I've seen was looking like black dots at the tip of the leaf, and it was kind of dehydrating a bit there. But it was really just being on few tip of the leaf. I was removing them, it was reappearing. I was like, I don't know what it is, but when the aloe vera died, I wasn't sad just because of that thing. I was like, I've just did not had enough care to really search on what was that thing. Because I was like, well, if it doesn't seem to spread to anything else, I don't care. I will just kill it and I've put the compost in my worm bin, and I can tell you that worm bin is so active that if there's something a pest in it, it'd be gonna be ate by 1,000 of those stuff.
I got a pineapple plant in my fucking grow as well, and like that shit, like just keeps growing. It's nothing. Like no pineapple.
Dude, that's one thing that I wanted to heard. That's one exotic thing you got in your grow then. I like it.
Yeah, no, but then it's like it's taken up space and it's done nothing in 2 goddamn years. I'm so fucking pissed at it.
I know it can take a really long time before it fructifies. Is it like 7 years or something?
Don't
No.
tell me fucking going in the trash tonight. Fucking 7. Fuck that.
Well, I've never. I remember I tried maybe 1 or 2 times to grow a pineapple, but you just take the top, and if it doesn't root, well, if it doesn't wilt and mold, it's gonna root, and you can grow back
Oh,
that thing.
I can tell you. I can tell you how to get it to do it every time. Like, okay, so all you do is take the bottom inch of the like. You just when you take your pineapple, you break the top off. You pull the leaves off the bottom inch all the way down, so it's right into that core stalk on it, and then you plant that. And then what you do is don't you keep the soil fairly dry, and you water into the hole on the top, and you just pour water in there every day, and then until it roots into the medium that you're in. It will root right in, and then you'll see it start growing out like shoots, and you'll get it every time. But what you want to do is you want to take off all those ones that are curling down at the very bottom. You want to take those off about an inch up the top, not four, and you'll
Oh,
get, and then you plant that in the thing. You don't want any fruit in there whatsoever.
yeah, that's the
Um,
part we're doing. We're just like chopping up the top, like without having too much fruit, but there was a tiny bit
yeah,
of
well,
it, and
that's what I
the
was
thing
doing,
was
and I was
rotting.
having very limited success with it. As soon as I started peeling the inch off the bottom, like literally would get every one that I try.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
I
I may try that thing. I will try to search on why your things is taking that long, but it looked good at least. It's a funny plant to have.
I gotta take off. I gotta do some other stuff at the moment, but
I think
I
I
will
think we'll call it there.
catch you guys again soon. I can hang out another few minutes if we're gonna wrap it up, but otherwise I gotta take off.
I don't know, but I don't know.
What you said was your mic is.
I said sorry. I was leaning away from my mic. I don't know. What do you feel? Do you feel like talking a little bit more? What do you want to do?
For me, I don't know. We can chill a bit if you want. I don't know
There's a
for
link in
Stevie
chat
wanted to
too if
go.
anyone
So,
wants to pop in.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody pops in.
I'm gonna take off. I'll catch you guys later.
5 minutes.
all right, see you, man.
I don't
Oh,
know.
martial artist say that he's a lap rat. Rat rat. It's a lab rat. That's what I would call it. But, no, man, I I was looking at what I could grow inside in my kitchen or just under a small LED, something like that. That that will be beneficial, like food or things like that. Because for me, it's always a waste. I'm gonna get light open at night anyway. So if I can get a light that it's a just with few plants under on the side in my living room or in my kitchen. Yeah, I don't. I've always found it like yeah, we can. It's mostly with the LED now. uh, Yeah, they grow plants quite good. I've seen people just using those twisted bulb and having a couple of house plant under it because they had a dark corner in their room. So, like, I've seen some shelf with some really small LED with plant in it. I was,
Yeah, yeah.
oh man, that looked really nice. I would like to get something like that. But so it might your lightning in your living room with a yeah with a shelf if you plant it. Yeah, some of them look really beautiful.
Man, I got a neighbor that like I'm like, man, you should grow. Has so many plants in his windows, but it's like I'm like it's gotta be verging on like he should have a big dehumidifier, but I don't think he has it at all. But like the dude has like hundreds of plants.
Yeah, I went to a place where like there were like really known landscaper people, and they had the most
Oh yeah,
beautiful English style house with all the English style garden because they didn't want to make another style of garden with the style of the house they had. And it was
yeah,
really beautiful. But you know that kind of style where from the outside it looked more wild, and when it looked like big trees and stuff like that, and few bushes, and you go inside the backyard and you see how everything kind of melt into it look a natural look to it, but there's all those different plants with the placement that is perfect for. You know, I was like, holy crap, okay, they really made a big effort. And I've seen a few places like that, but normally a lot of place where I see a new building, people make something super simplistic for the care of it, but it make it so boring and bland and devoid of everything that was there naturally that will take care of itself. And for me, the part to have work in landscape and things like that, it's really about why we have to denaturate our space like that. That to me, that's a bit strange of an idea to have to destroy everything and put back like a lot of lawn and some bushes and stuff like that. You won't have to take care too much because they are slow growing, or I don't know, but they are mostly imported plants. We don't need it. We don't need that much lawn. Do you have any goat or cows to feed with that lawn? I mean, you talk about green energy. I mean, don't complain about cow fart because they could get eat all that lawn in the city.
And well, the thing that like gets me is like the with the cows is like okay, like the, if the land was good enough for crops, the farmers would be growing crops in it because there's more money in growing crops on the land than there is grazing it. Because so like if the land was good enough, they would have crops on it. But so that land is full of rocks and whatnot. The only way to make it good enough to put crops on it is having pasture animals building up that soil. Like I
Yeah,
like
yeah, it make it a bit more sustainable, and mostly with
and
the
like
pasture thing, they move them. You can have a poor soil and still make
yeah, like
grazing.
no, our modern soil our modern farming is like depleting the soil and making the ground harder, and we're not doing anything about building soil quality. But like I don't know,
Hmm.
then stuff like that actually builds soil quality. I don't.
I have to say that I've watched some live of more agricultural things that they no they tried they have some effort to have different machinery and different approach, and sometimes having two like a cover crop and two crop that succeed each other, and you know they plant them in between the row and stuff like that. So they try some effort on that, and I don't know how the application is, but you know I've been aware at least that there is a lot of money and effort put into that, but it won't be necessarily all organic, whatever. They there's a different approach to the farming they do, and it doesn't always mean it's gonna be all synthetic, but being all organic, it's out of question for a different reason
Well,
that we may think on a
well,
small
yeah, and
scale.
for yeah, no, for scale and for the number of people and for pocketbooks and
Yeah, yeah, they,
for
they have
all
their own
those reasons.
reason.
There's all those reasons. There's so many reasons.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I won't go on why and how evil some of those things are, but a lot of
But
farmers are
well,
more squeezed than they were before. They are not free to do anything they want, and they are more a bit like an employer to that.
yeah, I think yeah, that's more the crime of the century.
Yeah, but I think the one of the thing I was finding a bit strange when I was in landscape is how we went into some different wave of exotic plant and look and this and that. I was like, hey, people are most of the time they're coming at the shop to buy fertilizer or plant that are exotic, maybe pretty, but could have been grown with compost or whatever and not have leachate of anything. And they were talking how the big culture were leaching in the water stream. I was like, yeah, that's true. But that's also true that there's a lot of citizens that don't mind, and if they can use a glyphosate to go around their tree to not have that line of grass that it's annoying, or and I mean, I would love to see the grandma next door with a flamethrower to clean the
clean the
sidewalk.
brush.
Yeah, yeah, and stuff like that. Like I would really love to see the grandma with a flamethrower, but sadly, it's not something we see really often. But they will hire someone to come with the de-weeder and with the glyphosate or whatever, and you know, uh, they will take care of the lawn and have those bushes that are cut in round bushes, like it's like whatever. The trees sometimes don't cannot be cut in balls for a long time. There's too many cuts and whatever. It's kind of bad on the trees, and they do that for like a decade, and after a while, a lot of sometimes the trees just get sick and because there's too many cut, and the wood is rotting in some place, whatever. But I was looking at that, being like, why you want to control that much in nature? Can you just grow a tree that is more slow growing there instead of trying to chop it back like that?
Well, yeah, you run into that in the tropics a lot. It gets really, really big because well, it's sunny and warm every day and perfect growing, right? So you'll get bush that grows that big. A lot of people, a lot of people that don't want the maintenance go out of their way to get like because you get the dwarf trees that don't grow that only grow like 8, 10 feet. So a lot of people go out and get the trees, the fruit trees that are around their house that only grow that big because otherwise they will get 40 feet just insane trees that like you're just constantly fighting.
Yeah, a lot of people want the decorative apple tree because they don't have a lot of crappy apple that drop on the lawn also, and it make those really beautiful purple or pink flowers. But
Yeah, yeah.
I was looking at that and being like, you know what? At the corner of my street, there's two trees surviving in a small corner beside a parking lot. But when I've went in the old map, there was a house nearby, and that house is really old, and they were owning like the whole place were around, and that was part of what they were making a cider with, because those three, one is a type of apple that I don't remember how they call it. It's a kind of small sour apple,
Oh yeah, yeah. Crab apple.
a crab apple, exactly that. Yeah, and I was like, oh man, I would like to get a graft of it. I don't see that that
No, for
often.
crab apple happens so often that like 99% of the seeds will come out crab apple. So if you just take any apple
I can
and
take
plant
the
the
apple
seed,
from it. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
and any apple will make crab apple, but only one in like 1,000 is sweet and delicious, like that you want. So like those are the ones that they are get selected for fruit, but it's so hard to find one that's fruit worthy. Like, yeah, you have
Yeah,
to.
because I was thinking at spring, I was trying to identify the same branching on the ground to take some of the small one around maybe and get a cut of the tree and graft it on it and go my way with it. And I was like,
No, you
well,
don't. You don't even need to. You can just take seeds from it. It'll make crab apples.
okay.
Both. Yeah. There's a one in 1,000 chance you'll get a sweet, really good apple. But if you get that too, then it might be worth keeping just for fruit.
Yeah, but I think the one from the tree will be at least yeah, I could always graft it on a apple tree normal.
You could too. You could too. I don't think it's worth grafting a crab apple.
Okay,
Like I said, they don't just grow from.
okay, because I've always been a bit sad when I discover like I went in some place where there was a house 30, 40, 50 years ago, and it been really a long history like from the 1800s sometime, and I was like, well, the apple they got there, if they have an apple tree that have survived and it's really good, and you see other apple tree around, but they are not necessarily from the same thing. Sometimes they are not super good, but there's always a better one in the patch. And some years you taste at it and you be surprised. Some other years it's crappy, and then the vegetation around gets so huge that the tree cannot get it cannot compete anymore. But it still survived for a long, long time before the forest swallow it. And I've seen some spot where it took 50 years before the forest kind of swallowed the apple patch. But there was always one or two trees that you can recognize the trees as the original one that maybe they started from seeds. And that one was better, or maybe they grafted on it because they were already grafting back then.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well,
I'm
they
always,
grafted
yeah,
the finest fruit trees, the ones that were the ones that were the best tasting stuff.
yeah, because they grown seeds in the backyard to get something to graft on. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was like, man, I would like to have I don't have that land, but I would like to have a land where I could collect all those old stuff like that. Some of them may be interesting, but I don't know. I've always liked it, that kind of thing. Just to not lose it forever. Because sometime maybe one of them may work to for the breeder of today. I don't know. I guess most of them have already got the
There's
gene
a
bank of their things anyway.
the like I think it was like I believe apples came from Kazakhstan, and the largest
Kazakhstan,
they
yeah, it may be there. Yeah, it's around there. I'm pretty sure.
but but I know the U.S. when they were deforesting huge amounts. I know there was some school went over there. They took the largest amounts of samples taken, and they have huge, huge library of seeds and grafts, and like it's the biggest in the world, biggest in New York. But yeah, have
So there's a depository of all the Apple
of
type.
all as many as there's everything they can get their hands on. The cap
Because I was trying
everything.
to, it was a big industry in the East for a while, and now it's lower for some reason. But and one of the thing I was finding interesting is the some of the guy working in those orchards were telling us how some sometimes they were having one or two tree of the really old stuff, and some of them they were keeping that tree because there was no one having it around anymore, and like there was one that was for transformation that was a huge apple, but the texture of it was kind of weird. But they were making puree or some stuff like that. There was the one of my friend in his backyard in BC had some Newton. If I remember the Newton apple, it's a green apple that were used for apple pie, like the
Okay,
sliced apple in the apple pie, and they were holding their texture being firm. But if I remember, they are an ancestor and Granny Smith.
oh, cool.
So like he had different stuff like that, like, and I remember asking him, so what's the most recent stuff you have in your collection? I think he had like eight different type of apples, something like that. And the more recent one was the Spartan. That's the most recent that he had. But everything else was
Wow.
like all those really crazy old stuff that you don't see anymore. But sometimes you heard about that name, but not much. And he was just happy to have them around just for that. Like, just if you know what to do with them, they are useful. But the trend of, at least in BC where he was, have been into big,
Well,
huge apple.
it becomes what's easiest to sell, right?
Yeah,
When the groceries have selected five or seven major apples, those are what gets sold the easiest and fastest, and then the other stuff is, I would assume, much harder to move because
yeah. A lot of the apple that, well, at least for the orchard around him, was for fresh consumption. The big, huge, crazy, pretty apple, but they are really huge for what we see out east. It's really smaller, the apple we got in general. We have some bigger one, but they are not big like that. I mean, I had Macintosh big like my head in BC. I never had it in out east. Never. I've seen big one, but never big like my head. I was like, well, I have to tell you that I've not been able to finish the apple that was big like my head. I really tried to, but it was one of those really bland ones.
Oh
And I
yeah,
really prefer when they grow in the cold because they are more crispy and sugary and
yeah,
they are really different. Um, but when I had some Spartan over there, I was like, wow, I'm sold to that shit. When you get a Spartan that is harvested late, it was pretty good. I had, I think it's
nice.
Kirkland over here that was kind of crispy, also quite good. But yeah,
I like those honey crisps. I really like.
Honeycrisp. Oh yeah, yeah, they are quite nice.
I like those.
I like it the Gala.
Yeah,
Honeycrisp
Gala.
also it's good. It's a
Yeah, I
bit
like
different.
Gala as well. I like Gala as well. Gala's kind of mainstream now, but I still love them.
Yeah, I would say sometimes you have better Gala than others.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yes. And some of them age poorly and get very styrofoamy, but
Ah, yeah, man.
when they're fresh, they're really good.
Yeah, you remind me like how the deception can be, and like, hey, the last one was better than that.
That's how some of those bigger ones, the ones that are just huge, they're usually kind of styrofoam. Yeah, I find.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Well, always had fun to see like those bigger apple. They just look good. You take a picture and put them in your
Yeah,
applesauce. Yeah, you don't don't eat it fresh. It's not the best one. But when we were going in the orchard, I don't remember what we're doing, but it was like just before they get ready, and every time we're seeing one with a sunburn on it, we're
yeah,
baking it and letting mature on the shelf because the the sunburn will kind of get mushy and weird when the rest of the apple are ready. So we're putting it aside. It's gonna be rejected anyway after. So,
yeah,
but those were sometimes the best one. Sure, you got the other side of the apple that were still green, but I
yeah.
was doing the same with every fruit over there. If I was seeing one with a really big sunburn on one side, I was picking up before it get ready. But man, the most beautiful thing I had there was a apricot when I was in BC. I never had like I had those round apricot, but I never had those huge one, and they can be really good. And like I've tasted the wide escaped seeds of the round one, I would say. And it's funny how in the escaped seeds, it's a bit like the crab apple you were saying. You got one on like maybe one or two in the patch that are they're good. I mean, yeah, they are a bit firm or whatever, but they've not been watered well and they just grow feral. But when I was comparing that to what I've seen at the grocery store, I was still happy to have the tougher things from the ditch over there than what I've paid in the grocery store over here. For some of them, sometimes they were like, when they've been kept in the fridge and lose their flavor, or I don't know, there's something mushy about them, the texture gets weird. And when I tasted the big, huge one that was in the orchard, there was one with a huge sunburn on the side, and my friend was working in that orchard. He's like, "Oh yeah, you can take one if you want, just one, but it's okay. You can take that one." And I was like, eyeballing that huge apricot. I never had seen an apricot that big, man. So I tried to take a bite when it was still standing in the trees, the deep as I can, to bite in it. And I've just went just before the seeds in it. I bite it just before. I was like, damn it, man! I've never seen an apricot that big. Normally, you can put two apricot in your mouth, no problem. Come on. But that one was already huge. It was super juicy and everything. I was like, man, I really like it. That so I'm like, oh man, can we grow apricot? Uh, like maybe on a side window, on a kind of bonsai or something. But no, they really like to have sun on them,
Yeah, they need
and they like
sun.
to bet. Yeah, you can grow a lime, the kefir lime, on
Yeah, yeah,
your.
yeah, 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 yeah. I had Lyme for a long time, but then I went to a festival for a week and I fucking like
Oh
couldn't
man,
enjoy it.
I got a lime, a Mexican lime tree in my kitchen, quite big. I got it for like 17 years, something like that. I'm not sure. I think I'm about to drink some tequila with my tree. Well,
Nice.
how old you need to be in
See,
Mexico?
well, much like many tropical places, you don't have to be that old because nobody really has ID anyways. But they're
Okay, let's say it's more than 16. I would find it okay
yeah,
that we can drink together one time. But yeah, I mean, who've never drank at 16 would never say that it's a good idea, but we know a lot of us did. But yeah, I got that big trees. I've planted maybe a dozen seeds of lemon and a dozen seeds of lime. And over time, only one huge lime tree have survived from it. But the first, I would say, 5 years, it wasn't really big. It was like maybe in a 8-inch pot for a really long time. It wasn't really rooting that over. And at one point, Fupi started to grow more, and after 3 4 years, it was starting to grow better, and but it was still doing those long branch, and now it fell out. But it's in a 4 or 5 gallon bucket, something like that. Uh, so
oh,
yeah, I need to
do you
chop
get
it back.
limes?
No, but I was thinking that one of the reason why I don't have it, it's maybe it doesn't have enough light in the right moment that it would like to. So it's just on the side window. So, but
When I had
I,
mine, I wondered what I would pollinate it with. Kind of relies on somebody else having another one in town. I thought, but
to
uh,
pollinate it.
yeah, well, yeah. I guess a bee can go from one flower on the plant to another flower, but I would assume that it would prefer to get pollen somewhere else.
Um, some some
I
of
could
them
be wrong.
maybe need to be cross pollinated, but I know that if you buy the grafted Mayor dwarf Mayor lemon, you the self pollinate them, from what I understand. I got
So,
some friends that have 2 or 3 different small lemon like that are grafted,
yeah,
and they no they got like 5 6 lemon on it because they keep it smaller, but uh, I think you can. Yeah, I think it's maybe a matter of which variety of graft.
it's not like peppers where you give it like just fucking Epsom salts, fuck, get it to start flowering.
Well, yeah, oh man, I don't know. I've never had it to. And the pepper plant for me are quite easy plant. If they don't have the nice temperature, they don't have a nice pollination. So a lot of the pollination, it's like it, I mean, normally if you get a good soil, whatever it is, or whatever you feed them, you don't have much problem with that. It's mostly the temperature that make the pollination get crappy. But for the lemon, I think it's and the lime. I think one of the best bet is to uh, grow some kefir lime from the grocery store. And when you get small bushes of it, you can use the leaf of it And if you get some plant too much, whatever, well, you can always decide to go buy a grafted lemon trees that is kind of dwarf tree grafted, and and graft it on your seedling of kefir lime and a small plant and root some if you want of the kefir clone and then graft your lemon on it. Share with people. I think it's something that it's always useful. Make some teas, and you can always get a small bush in your kitchen or your living room. And I think you should get more useful plant as a decorative plant. It's not just decorative, but a second use to it.
Yeah, you're happier, Clint.
Yeah, because I like to get some decorative stuff, but I've realized at one point I was just putting too much effort for something that get absolutely nothing back. And through the years, I've grown some hot pepper on the side window. I had a plant for 7 years in a 6 inch of rock wool. And I have to say that in the winter, I had a lot of small ones. They were not as strong, but they were still surprising you once in a while. But in the summer, holy crap, I had few big ones. They were quite strong, but because it wasn't Rockwool, I was able to manage the water sometime and just make it very drier for a while, and the pepper were really hot. But I had to hand pollinate to get a better result. You don't always have to, but you're gonna get surely a better result if you
Get a
take
better
a
result. Enjoy.
yeah, even if you take your finger and go on each flower just for
I'd
quickly.
grab a paintbrush, but
Yeah, paintbrush would be better, but I was always kidding to say I'm fingering my pepper plant, but it was just for pollination. I was going with my pinky.
just for street cred, eh?
Yeah, it worked good, man. I think we always have to think at like, oh, w would you pay for hot pepper when you can just have one on your side window growing for years like that? I mean, at least for me, hot pepper have been the stuff that been nearly of a deception. Why people don't like why people have started to make that much sauce with it? It's because it's the easiest things to grow them. You're gonna get
True
two
that.
tons of it and never eat that much. I've grown the sweet pepper, and I was like, oh, I don't I don't have too much of it. I can use it. I mean, I use it way more often. But I had like the same quantity of hot pepper, and 10 years after, I still have some dried in jar. So I've learned my lesson, man. Like if you grow hot pepper, just grow a few plants. Okay, enough. Like maybe one of each type, but not more. It's like maybe like
Well,
you start four or five seeds, get one, you know.
I've always wanted to grow hot peppers in the grow for the reason that it would be a food source for like bacillus, the beneficial that fights against spider mites, and it will like that one was able to switch over onto pollen in the meantime when the spider mites dry up. So, but I've never got it. I've never got
Um, I think the plant like the little blue, like I was saying, there's different one now, but when I've buy them, there was the yeah, man, I got enough. See that just should look if they are if they've been dried in the dehydrator or not, because I had like pots of
How's the
everything.
best way to start pepper seed? How do you start yours?
Um, for a longest time, I was using straight Pro Mix or Cocoa just to for the starting plug. Uh,
Yep.
I like it the 2 inch square kind of starting tray that I was that hold all together. Um, I would say if you got your grow room, if you got a veg room, you put them there, they'll be happy with the same thing. Uh, the only thing is that I've seen some people at the fourth set of leaf. So,
Yep.
they go in pair. So you count four pair of leaf and they chop after that. For me, what I use it to say is remove the first set of flower, let them grow bigger, and some more some plant that were not super productive or longer season stuff. Sometimes I was letting the first flush and removing the second one so that they don't exhaust themselves. And by the time they do the first flush of fruit, they've been enough time to get big enough. And sometimes I was trying to kind of help the plant to remove sometimes the flower, but it depends on your cycle. It depends on the varieties. I would not say to do always that. The with the sweet pepper, you don't want to top them. Like the bell pepper, you don't want to top them. Normally they grow well. It's more like maybe you're gonna have to prune some branch on the side, but focus the grow on those that have fruits and stuff like that. But I would say if you already grow weed, you should grow well with pepper. It just need a bit more nitrogen through all the fructification phase than you would do with your things normally. But if you want a piece of history of Neville and Grodan, you ask it the recipe for pepper plant and modify it that to grow on rockwool
Yep.
in the 80s, in the maybe in 83, 84, around that. So he tried it for the recipe of Nutriment and stuff. That's kind of quite funny because would find it a bit silly now to say, "Oh man, you've traded." I don't remember how much stuff, but it was a big deal to have the right thing to grow in Rockwool. And when we're, I watch on the old note that he had, that was
Yep.
a quite simple method. But when people, let's say, grow with Jack 231 or that kind of thing, it's similar to what they developed back then in early 80s. The beneficial bacteria, I've seen that some people really love it, whatever the kind of hydro system they got. But we're trying to discuss, me and Artman, about the high pressure aeroponic and how it's another game. You start in a complete other world. So you're maybe more into automation, short harvest, predictable result. It's another things. But the NASA was developing that technology back then, and when people were really jumping on how hydroponic was really cool, they were mostly trying to say high pressure aeroponic system developed for the NASA back then. It was quite interesting things. I'm not sure if you could apply it on a home scale all the time, but I've seen a guy on YouTube that do some lesson about high pressure aeroponic, and he go through it quite well and explain some calculation you'll need to do to for having the right pressure. And the thing they say it's the size of the droplet that have to be that thing instead of it have to be specific for the size of droplet. But the problem with that kind of system for me is, will you have clogged line at one point or deposit on the emitter? Um, your crop have to be more time into, like, you get too much root mat at one point in it on some, so you need to time your stuff, and if you have channel. I don't know. There's a lot of different challenge, so it's quite of another world than just trying to grow mix with salt. I mean that part is pretty easy. It's a preschool preschool level. Yeah. I'm pretty sure aeroponic, I would say it's a bit like if you're going really deeply in soil science. There are two complete different science. I don't think they like each other. Well, they both do some amazing stuff, as long as I'm concerned. I was really amazed since the start about those systems. The last thing I've seen that was quite funny was, when there was the wheel with the small plant on the wheel. At one point, there was some people saying, "Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
good."
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
they
I
were
know
growing those
that.
fat.
You talking about that wheel that went around the light?
Yep, yeah, with the
Oh
cook
yeah,
tube.
yeah, yeah. Fucking fun picture of that thing.
Yeah, I know some people that tried that, and they were like, they depend on what you do in it. But like, if you got, let's say, iceberg lettuce, not bad, okay.
No,
But if you
it would be
tried,
terrible, dude. No matter what, it'd be terrible because fucking water just fucking come and run down all your plants.
um, we did not have that problem much from what I've seen in it, but you could, I guess. But uh, there was a cool tool. So I don't know if there was some people having droplet on the glass and shattering it. I've not heard of it. And man, that thing is a long time ago that people were buying those stuff. The last time I've seen it in the bus on the news was, I think, 20 years ago. That's a really long time.
It's a long time. Fuck, I can't even find a picture of it.
You cannot find one because people that
I don't
never
know what
seen
it
those
was. I
things.
don't know what it was called. It was on a high times cover. I know that.
I know that I may have one of those items. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. If I'm digging, maybe I have it. I'm not sure
Oh
because I had a lot of those magazines that have been in the fire. But yeah, I had some bucks that have been saved. It's funny because the first release of the lowrider and
yeah,
I had I got that magazine too. I was like, just looking at it, like it was looking good back then. But if you look at the same edition of the magazine, what the other variety was, there was a lot of early stuff. There was a lot more than that. Why people have just remembered that one?
yeah. A lot of early girls, early men.
No, but like there was, I remember there was General
Friesland.
G. General G had
Remember,
the
there was
different Afghani. He had the one
top
that
forty
was
four, top 44, flowered out 44 days.
yeah, top 44. I remember trying to smoke it with one of my friend
Not very
had some.
good.
Um, on the effect, uh, ordinary, yeah, ordinary.
Yeah.
But it was looking a bit like a M39 or Viking. The Viking strain looked like sturdy and
Oh yeah.
dense flower, kind of Afghani dense flower, but you smoke it and you're like, eh. I don't know. It's okay. Well, the Viking was one of those things. I guess back then they were producing a bit like for. I guess it was maybe CBD strong in it. I'm not sure, but the flower were easy to mash and trim, from what I heard. So they were producing it in big amount in Switzerland. I think something like that. I think it's from uh, the Erdbeer from Switzerland. It's similar to that Viking stuff. It looked like a kind of industrial hemp with dense flower, strong in CBD, like a ashes strain, maybe just with the CBD type in it. It's look a bit like that because they look really kind of sturdy Afghani, but the more like people did not know back then. They were smoking something and being like, it's not that great, but it grew
Yeah,
well over here.
it's kind of crazy what the ones they selected and brought back from Afghanistan, how THC dominant they were compared to some of the things they could have selected and come been brought back. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it,
yeah, but I
mm,
mean, like Ardborough and those things were not those strong in THC and that kind of thing.
no, exactly true, true. Well,
Uh,
I feel like a lot of them were better than you think. I think they just didn't know how to grow them as well back.
yeah, there's that,
Cut
but there's
cut them too early and stuff like just
yeah,
because out of fear and friggin' like having bills to pay. Like,
and they were like something like let's say if you have a CBD type, but it still get you high. Like there's maybe let's say 1 part THC for 2 parts CBD, something like that. It still get you high and grow well in your area. You may still save the seeds of it because it survived. I'm like, I was like, well, yeah, there was always like that part of luck and hazard into it also. But I just I was thinking at that, man. All the variety I've seen in those old magazines that I was going through, I was like, man, there's some of those stuff that were known to be growing well and all that thing. It just went out of popularity for different reasons. Some were not
well,
that great,
that's
some
just
were
the cycle.
better.
That's the cycle of everything. Everything popular now will be old and boring, and then at one point it will be nostalgic, and then we'll want it back again. So I think that's just the cycle. I think that's the cycle of forever.
Yeah, but we just have to get some people that are some stuff written or registered about, let's say, that one who you remember that was good and was popular, and now people know about that one, and
Well,
maybe someone still have it.
that's the thing is like I think right now we're developing the North American land race. It's just different pockets and different directions stuff, and it's a huge polyhybrid pool that's produced. That this is our land race. And now it's being shipped everywhere else here. It's, I mean, it's
It's funny because I think that some of the what I would call like more of a regional appellation or maybe close, not necessarily landrace, but regional adaptation or whatever it was. Some of them were shared all across on the continent and the
yeah,
country, and they were not necessarily uh, what today would be on the market, but they were what was growing well and people were liking maybe enough to preserve them and grow more. And I'm interested in seeing what's the difference that those variety hold of quality, uh, growing quality or smoking quality, or maybe what they contain, and what's the difference of now and how different the look of those variety can be, because I'm pretty sure some of them they were maybe looking crappy, but if you make ash with it, they still make good ash. Because you, like you said, there were a lot of variety that were bring for ash, and people were kind of selecting a bit to have more smokable flower from it, or making a bit of a cross with something else more smokable. But they were mostly used in ashes production. Traditionally, most of it was, at least for a big portion of it, was all transformed into ash or cooked with, like with the bang in India. That it's
yeah,
that boiled milk or with some white, more feral wheat, I would say, more lower quality. Um, and they were it's medicinal, that thing. If you don't puke after you drink it, you're gonna be quite good with it. Because there's for a reason something about boiled milk and cannabis that make it oof. I don't know. You have to put some spice in it and being tough for the time that you digest it, and after that you'd be good. There's maybe better way to ingest it. But no, I know that a lot of those variety that today's are included in whatever people have around. It was traditionally made for dry sift or hand rub. And I was just thinking, you know what was popular before the seed bank of Neville and Europe? There was a lot of imported Nigerian and African weed and stuff like that. There was a lot of African weed, in fact, over there. They had a lot of hashish also, but the herb was mostly African weed. So they had all type of African stuff over there. Um, like if you look at the old crappy menu of Amsterdam in the coffee shop, the early coffee shop they had, it was quite different. Neville in his first few magazines had like some cashmere genetic cross with an indica or Afghani, whatever, and had some Kandahar cross with the Nigerian, and you know, he had those bag seeds also from import. He was selling them as, he was like, well, okay, those are from that imported wheat, whatever, and people may make fun of it now, but when you think of it, there's some of those stuff that may have been okay, but some of them were pretty good for a vaccine that come from
And yes, sometimes that was all you could get. Dude.
yeah,
Uh,
and some of those have been included in today's standard of the strain. So, I mean, you no longer will be able maybe to access the pure stuff, but it's in today's variety. So yeah, I just find it interesting to see. Yeah, I would like if people could be just preserving a bit more the step before they mud everything together. I always found it,
true. True.
you know, I don't know if you've seen the meme of uh what's that? Jack Black, that dude, the guy that paint Ross. Is
Yeah,
it
yeah,
that?
Bob Ross, Bob
Bob
Ross.
Ross, yeah. Yeah, when the meme with him, I mean, yeah, I'll take just some black and a Sharpie. It's better. I mean, that point when you want to mix all the color together, just take a big black Sharpie and you know make a big black picture. I mean, make it simple for you. I mean, otherwise, if you want to go into different nuance and quality of it and developing and making your selection of the best of that thing, what it represents, you may need a bit more effort and space for that. But I don't know. It may at least preserve the step before you go into mudding out everything. It's fun when it's different.
Right. Right on. Well, you want to wrap this up, Evil?
Yeah, all right, all right.
All right. Well,
But
everyone have a good evening. What's the best place for people to get a hold of you?
oh, join me on Discord. I'm in different channel, or invite me if you think I'm a fit for those channel. It's always funny to meet different people from around the world and yeah, exchange on it. So yeah, thank you for having me. So
Yeah,
uh,
right. Awesome. Thanks for coming. Everyone have a good evening.